when I thought about it, and the first topic that we're going to talk about tonight is it a final preview? Because when I thought about my thoughts on the weekend, it was a real arm wrestle for majority of both of the games. And one of the other players I just wanted to highlight, and I thought had a terrific weekend and is having a terrific season, is Steph Conlon from the Melbourne Ice, who's got 12 points on the season, got 3 points on the Sunday game, including a goal. Is going into it, Gordon? We spoke to the two head coaches in the lead up to it, and they expected it to be games of the season. The two top teams going at each other. Could we have seen a potential final preview across the weekend in Perth?
Look, Adelaide and Brisbane are going to have a lot to say about it. And Adelaide for me, there's not too many teams that have two goaltenders where you're like, yeah, either one where will play a really strong game. Adelaide is one of those teams. So based on that, and because the finals format is so short, just 2 games, if you're on a heater as a goaltender, you can take your team, you can win games. So, but on paper, yes, I think Perth, Melbourne, I think they've. It'll be interesting the second half of the season, but Perth is going to come home, I think, with a bit of a wet sail because they played a lot of their away games in the first half. So they have, out of the 6 games left, I think they've got 4 at home. So I think that they'll be in that top 2. Come finals.
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to agree with you there. Just having a look at the schedule, they've got a pretty friendly schedule. They play Sydney 4 times. Now, Sydney's a sleeping giant. We know how great they are. They've just had a bad rub of the green at the start of the season, and they're a young team, and they're finding their way. It's funny to say that on the back of last season, but Perth have them 4 times, and I think that's just going to give them that edge. And if they can secure a second spot, and that's not to say Melbourne could drop, however, because they are a great team, but they could be defeated by Brisbane or Adelaide, and they could drop. But I think if Perth can lock in that first or second spot, they've just got that nice draw coming home. And as you said, a lot on home ice as well. So it is a huge potential for that to be the grand final game, if they do finish first and second seed, they still have to win their finals. And we saw last season Perth getting up to win the bronze and making that playoff from 4th position was fantastic. So it'll be interesting to see how it works.
So those
Oh yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say those Adelaide Melbourne games are going to be sensational.
Yes,
they play each other 4 times to finish the season, and it gives you kind of a litmus test for both teams really. But I'm interested in Adelaide. They got off to a real flyer, but they played Sydney 4 times in that stretch too. So yeah.
Yeah, so they'll both have a break next weekend for week 8 of the A-Dub, and then they will play. Yeah, Adelaide will travel to Melbourne to play Melbourne. I think one of the scary things that I noticed across the weekend too is Melbourne Ice had their power play going, so they were able to score on the power play. I think twice on Sunday, once on the Saturday. If they can start taking advantage of the man advantage, especially when you got players like Butler and things like that, Godfrey obviously on power plays, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, and the goaltending, between Piers, Best, and Carson, Melbourne are pretty comfy in goal. I do want to mention though, Brisbane is I think the way that the league is now, I can't remember a time where the top 4 teams were so closely matched. Brisbane are they certainly, we've had chats with head coach Matt Meyer, and they certainly see themselves as a championship contender, and they've got fantastic weapons. I think Emma Wuthridge has been a sensational addition to the league this year. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But on paper, I think Perth Melbourne at early running for final preview.